to take the applications and actually use them, software as a service. So I'm going to focus around infrastructure as a service. And I think it was mentioned during the Amazon presentation that cloud is not the same as virtualization. So virtualization gets you a lot of benefits, right? It allows you, this is an example from Huawei internally, when we went from having all of our internal development environments running on dedicated servers and our test environments, integration environments, and all of the PCs that went with that, we moved all of that into an internal virtualization environment, an internal cloud, if you will. Huge amounts of savings, right? 40% on our CapEx, 10 times improvement on CPU utilization. But IaaS is actually different than that. It's an expansion of that. And it's primarily around the things that the Amazon presentation talked about, is the ability to be able to change your use habits. So in the case of Huawei, during the day, we're doing all of our development. During the night, those same virtual resources are redeployed to do automated builds, testing, etc. So you can change the usage on the fly based on the kinds of demands, and you can do it based on the time of day, on the different kinds of applications. And of course, one of the advantages is that you then only use it when you need it. Right? So, and things go very, very fast. You can deploy in minutes instead of weeks. You don't have to go to your purchasing department, go through a process of getting bids and all of the rest of this stuff to be able to get servers. You simply sit down at a terminal and you have new servers. So IaaS has lots of different ways that it can be used. And one is certainly for quick projects. This was mentioned before. It's very easy to be able to go in, since you're only paying for the capabilities when you're actually using them, and go in, get some new servers, try some new applications, be able to quickly figure out whether or not this is going to work, whether it's going to be effective, and if it's not, kill it or change it. If it is, go ahead and deploy it. So there are lots of these kinds of quick applications. You just want to try it. You want to make sure that it works. The other is that it's a good way to extend your existing IT. So as mentioned earlier, cloud is not an either-or situation. For most kinds of corporate IT environments, you have a lot of things that are very key to your success as a business. They're critical to what you're going to do, and you want to make sure that they are under your control. But there are a lot of times you want to be able to extend, to be able to do things beyond what you have the facilities to be able to do, and that makes a really good way to use cloud. So there's lots of different kinds of ways that you can use the infrastructure as a service capabilities to be able to extend this. And even at Huawei, Huawei is actually within China runs a cloud service. But because it's a good way for us to learn what it is that our customers, the operators like True IDC, need in their capabilities. And Huawei then, as a company, is one of the users of that cloud for some of our core capabilities that we don't really want to run inside of our own data centers. Another thing to point out is that it's very easy to deploy these. And it's very easy to use automation. So I think one of the things, there are a lot of cloud services out there, infrastructure as a service kinds of things, where if you're, a rocket scientist kind of an IT person, you really love living in the command line and being able to, use Linux tools and that sort of thing, they're perfect examples. But if what you really want as a corporate IT organization is to be able to utilize the capabilities quickly and easily, you need to make sure that it's very heavily automated. You don't want people, writing a bunch of scripts that when the guy goes on vacation, nobody knows how your systems operate. You want to make sure that you have the kinds of automation. So the tools that your cloud provider, like a True IDC, has that they develop in partnership with companies like Huawei, gives you the ability to be able to make sure that you can easily deploy the set of capabilities that you need and that it will run itself. right? You don't want to constantly have to be looking at this and running it. And one of the ways that we do this is using templates. So as a business, you're able to go into a graphical environment that is provided through the True IDC and be able to look at the capabilities to be able to set up the environment so that, I want one Microsoft Exchange server. That means I need, MS SQL Server. It means that I need the Active Directory. It means all of the rest of these things. You can put them all in a template, and then when you want to deploy that, it's a single key click to say, okay, and now I have this environment. So when you're looking at the kinds of cloud environments for infrastructure as a service, make sure that it has the kinds of capabilities that can allow you to very easily be able to not only set up, but modify and continue to operate your cloud environment going forward. The other thing, as was mentioned in Amazon, is you really want to worry about security. There are lots of good ways to put your business in the public eye and in the news. Having a security breach is not one of them. And so one of the things as you face moving your applications into the cloud, people always worry about is it really going to be secure? Do I know where that is? And that's where a local partner like True IDC really comes in, because their cloud services, you have a trusted partner, you have them building on top of a platform like the Huawei platform that can ensure the security of the capabilities. You know where their data centers are. So ability to have this security in depth is really a key part of being able to have the infrastructure as a service capabilities. Some of the things that you can do with IaaS include like disaster recovery, cloud backup, that sort of thing. And these are very common usages. They're very simple for you to get up and working, and they provide an immediate benefit to your organization. You don't have to build another data center to be able to make sure that you have a disaster recovery plan for your company. So there are lots of different and good ways to use infrastructure as a service. One of the things I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is something that maybe there are a little less traditional uses. So high performance computing is an area, and Huawei has, in the IT arena, does a lot of work in HPC. We have some very, very large HPC clusters, including national laboratories in Turkey and in the UK, various other places. So HPC is this high-performance computing is where you have thousands of computers that are working together to solve the same problem. And it's kind of gone through an evolution from having specialized kinds of multiprocessor machines to massively parallel sets of more or less normal computers. And it's growing very, very quickly. But if you actually are trying to put together an HPC environment, it's actually very complicated. You have a lot of different tools. You have specialized cluster management capabilities. You have to make sure that you have the right versions of operating systems that can support this sort of thing. And then you have to make sure that the application development environments are such that you can generate the software needed to actually be worked on in parallel across a whole bunch of computers. So there are lots of different pieces to this puzzle. Now Huawei actually, because we have a lot of experience on this, is able to provide this set of capabilities in a way that it could be done in a public cloud. So traditionally, people use HPC for things like, oil exploration, for structural, if you happen to be designing a brand new airplane and you want to make sure that the wings can take the load, or you're doing drilling for oil. There's lots of traditional reasons to use HPC. But one of the things that is changing is that it's now finding new uses. So there are a lot of challenges. If you want to do HPC, and this has been a barrier that is one of the areas that we have been working with True IDC and other partners to be able to address, is that if you're trying to actually deploy high-performance computing, you have a lot of challenges around the environment, around the different capabilities that are needed to be able to do that. But if you can move those things into a cloud environment, then you have new kinds of opportunities. So as an example, we have some customers that are doing high-performance computing related to things like risk analysis. So being able to take a lot of different kinds of factors, that huge amounts of data that they needed to do very sophisticated analysis against, that it's not something that's done constantly, but it's something that they want to be able to evaluate the application. So there was the example that Amazon gave of the stock exchange in the U.S. that does some of their risk analysis and that sort of thing. These are this kinds of things. Structure analysis and engineering. If you're a small architectural firm, you can't put in a whole high-performance computing cluster just because occasionally you need to do some load testing related to, what's going to happen if a typhoon comes through and tries to take the roof off. So these are the kinds of things that a cloud-based HPC can actually make come true. One example that is particularly useful that we've found in a number of areas is around education. Because as you have more uses for HPC, you have to train the students on how to use that kind of an environment. And so being able to have classes utilize the cloud, you don't have to spend all that money on computing. So from a customer's value standpoint, you have a lot of advantages of putting HPC in the cloud because it allows you to use different kinds of environments without having to set it up yourself. Somebody else has already done that work for you. It allows you to be much more quickly able to increase capacities so that you can use different kinds of loads. And of course, very fast response. Another area that we have gotten involved in a number of areas around the world is around the whole smart city, safe city, e-government kinds of environments. More and more, we're finding that governments want to become open. They want to offer the citizens the opportunity to know more about government, have it be more transparent. And governments have also found out that there are a lot of benefits to doing that because if you make information available, then an awful lot of new opportunities are presented to even start new businesses. So in the U.S. right now, there are quite a number of new businesses that have been started that their whole purpose in life is built on top of data that's made available from the government. In the UK, they've got an open government capability where it publishes huge amounts of information, and the number of small companies using cloud computing technologies have been able to then take that data and provide new and useful services. And so this gives you the flexibility to go from the standalone silos of, this set of services is owned by the police, this is owned by the tax authority, this is owned by the, whatever, and be able to provide a set of cloud services. So once it's in the cloud, once you have the ability to scale up and scale down the number of computers that are working on the problem, the number based on the accesses that are coming in. So if you have a lot of citizens that want to get information, or you have a new company that's come out with a new use for data that you've published, it's easy to provide new kinds of services, and you can actually look across all of this information and get new kinds of information that was not possible before. And one of the keys to that is big data. So big data is a very common, buzz term right now in IT. But it's really about taking lots and lots of information, because we're all being deluged with information, and being able to provide solutions that are provide new kinds of services. So there's new ways to visualize information. So Huawei does a lot of work around big data. We have a number of products and capabilities around big data, particularly around the storage of that information, the processing of that, and we can help to deliver those sets of capabilities through our partners like True IDC. So there's new kinds of services that governments can have. And here's some of the uses. This is kind of a traditional, okay, we've got all of this urban information, what can we do with it? And traditionally people have looked at just kind of a passive view, okay? So this is an example, where are all the taxi cabs in Beijing? Okay, well, they're all over the place. That's interesting if I'm trying to find one, but it's not necessarily helping me as a government figure out how I can make things better. But by using big data kinds of analysis capabilities based in the cloud, I can now get new kinds of things. I can predict. I can see where are the kinds of traffic patterns at certain times of the day. Where should my taxis be, right? Can I do things that will provide better services to my citizens by helping to let the taxi companies know you're going to have demand in these particular areas and that kind of thing. So and as a result of that, maybe there are new roads that I need to build, right? Because there's traffic patterns I didn't know before, I couldn't see before. This is where infrastructure as a service, cloud computing can really help government agencies to provide the capabilities. So these, I mentioned earlier in the US, there are a bunch of efforts going on under an umbrella called Code for America, which is a bunch of people getting around in their spare time or starting small businesses and actually utilizing this information. So things like helping to find social services that are close to you, putting together different databases to see what schools your child might be eligible to attend. So there's lots of different uses that can come out of this. One of the areas that I have been recently spending some time on with some of our cloud partners, and as they put together cloud offerings like the services that True IDC is providing, is the concept of big data along with the concept of HPC. So I mentioned at Huawei, but we've been doing a lot around HPC, we've been doing a lot around big data, but if you look at those sets of problems, you see some common patterns. So Hadoop is a common platform to do big data analysis. And it is the use of lots of computers running the same program on different pieces of data. Okay, so you take all of this data, you chop it all up, and then you look at patterns, and then in what's called a map, and then reduce kind of a business process to get information out of this. Whereas high-performance computing is lots of computers, and what they're doing is doing different kinds of calculations at the same time on the same kinds of data. So the thing that's in common is they have lots of computers. Right? So if I want to do both high-performance computing and I want to do big data stuff using Hadoop, I am going to have to buy lots and lots of computers to do HPC and lots of computers to do Hadoop, or maybe there's a better way, right? Maybe I can use infrastructure as a service. So as you think of the ways that your business or your government agency can look at the way to become more effective, more efficient, the infrastructure as a service provides a perfect foundation for you to be able to do different kinds of things than you ever thought you could afford to do before. So, in summary, essentially, virtualization is important, but it's kind of limited, right? It doesn't give you all the things you need. You really need to have a cloud-based IaaS, like the services from True IDC, to give you the flexibility and that ability to have those services from a company that is local, that is trusted, that you have a long-standing relationship with, and that relies on very solid partners that can provide the infrastructure like Huawei. It gives you the best of both possible worlds. So with that, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ron. เพราะฉะนั้นในแง่ของ one stop shop ของ IDC นะครับถ้าท่านต้องการบริการ cloud ภายในประเทศไทยก็ตอบโจทย์ได้รวมถึงว่าถ้าเกิดท่านต้องการ high performance computing HPC เราก็สามารถตอบโจทย์ตัวนี้ได้นะครับพูดถึงเรื่อง infrastructure เสร็จละเราจะมี speaker อีกคนหนึ่งก่อน break นะครับตอนนี้เราเข้าโหมดแล้วเรื่อง developer นะครับ speaker ของเรานะครับ our speaker for the next session for platform as a service is the managing director for ASEAN for Red Hat, Damien Wong. And we're going to kick off first with a Red Hat video, followed by Damien on stage. Thank you.
I think that it's an important point, right? And I think it goes to the point that for over 50 years, our customers have relied on FICO to deliver industry-leading analytic and decision management solutions. None of that changes with the FICO Analytic Cloud. I think the democratization of analytics, right, allows us to build decision management and analytic solutions for people that previously did not have access. I think what we're creating and what we've created is truly unique. FICO, so it's over 50 years old. Originally started with Mr. Fair and Mr. Isaac, who were originally asked to develop a scoring algorithm for store cards. What that resulted in was fundamentally an analytics algorithm company. Everything we do is built around sort of analytic solutions and decision management. I think what you're seeing now with the establishment of the FICO Analytic Cloud, is in some ways the instantiation of the vision of the organization to bring analytics to the masses. Well, I think Red Hat support us sort of up and down the stack in that mission. The center proposition of the FICO Analytic Cloud is what we call our decision management platform. And we've built that decision management platform on top of Red Hat's OpenShift enterprise product. So the relationship we have with those guys that support OpenShift as a public offer and the guys that support OpenShift as a product today is more than I could have ever asked for. The future of the industry is obviously the cloud, right? Or if you like, cloud delivered services. We believe that OpenStack is, the future of elastic infrastructure, and we were fairly committed to that as being the basis for the next generation of the FICO Analytic Cloud. But not only will we be using OpenStack and OpenShift as, if you like, the underlying engines, but we'll be building all of our internal platform as a service offers, around those two particular products as well. This is really just the beginning. I think it's going to be a hybrid model. I think we'll see the dissolving of the boundaries between private and public clouds. I think our relationship with Red Hat, not to overstate it, is a huge example of what we consider value in a vendor. It's more than a partnership, right? It is a shared goal, shared vision, shared outcome type relationship. And I think that's the fundamental, definition for me at my level of trust. But if you actually have real trust, then you have real partnership.
Sawadee Krap. Can you hear me? My name is Damien Wong. I'm the general manager for Red Hat in the ASEAN region. I lost my voice 2 days ago, so if I sound like a very, I would say, sensational jazz singer, that's nothing to do with my singing skills, but because I caught a cold. First and foremost, I want to thank True IDC for giving us the opportunity to come here and talk to you a little bit about platform as a service. But more than that, we just want to talk a little bit about how we can deliver the open hybrid cloud across the stack. So first, for those of you who don't know who Red Hat is the largest pure play open source software company in the world. We were the first and still the only billion-dollar software open source software company. Just clocked our 51st consecutive quarter of revenue growth. We don't know any other company that has managed to achieve that. And if you look at our history, it's not a long history. We started in 1993. So we're not a very, very old company, but in terms of the rate at which we have grown and we have innovated and we have been able to drive some of the disruption in technology, today, I think it is amazing. So if you look at some of the acquisitions that we have made specifically to support our vision in terms of providing solutions around open hybrid cloud, we've not only gone into the virtualization space. Many people today use Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, which is based on KVM. We also have cloud management capabilities, cloud forms. We have our own OpenStack distribution, Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack platform. And as you have seen in that video earlier, OpenShift, right? And I think Ron mentioned that as well in his earlier slide about platform as a service. So Red Hat's OpenShift platform as a service is an industry-leading platform as a service offering, and so on. So what we do is we essentially provide capabilities in 5 different infrastructure areas. In the operating system, many people know us for being the leading player in the Linux space, middleware with our JBoss portfolio, in the cloud space with infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, and cloud management capabilities, virtualization, and storage. And what we do is basically we give you the best of both worlds. We take the innovation that happens in the open source community, and we then also couple that with the enterprise readiness that Red Hat brings, right? So you get the best of both worlds in the sense that innovation happens very quickly today, and as you see in a lot of the new areas of I would say innovation, the pillars of innovation that, for example, IDC cites, right? Around social media, analytics. You're talking about mobility, talking about cloud. All these things have all started first in open innovation and have been driven primarily through the open source community. So Red Hat is there to provide enterprise readiness in terms of balancing a fast-paced innovation with what an enterprise needs: stability, performance, security, etc. So let's look at where we are today, right? We are all business leaders, IT leaders. In the past, business used to have the role of telling IT what to do, and IT will then go about supporting the business, right? Providing infrastructure, making sure that things run based on what the business is asking them to do. But if you look at today's environment, IT is no longer just seen as an infrastructure administrator. IT is usually looked upon, or the business desires IT to be a strategic business partner that can help them be more agile, efficient, and innovative. In that area, the increasing competition that we see, right, from people who have been able to leverage technology to become more agile, to become more innovative, and provide better services to their customers.